Good evening and welcome to Pakistan Today News from our New York studio. I'm Victoria Lane. We begin with a major diplomatic development as U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to arrive in Islamabad on Wednesday, according to reports. Sources indicate that Vance will depart Washington this evening, Pakistan time, and is scheduled to arrive by late morning or early afternoon. He is expected to lead the American delegation in a second round of peace talks with Iran, which are set to take place in Islamabad. However, uncertainty remains as Iran has not yet confirmed its participation, citing renewed threats made by U.S. President Donald Trump. For more on the expected visit and its implications, we go to our Islamabad correspondent, Sarah William.
Thank you, Victoria. Preparations here in Islamabad are underway ahead of the expected arrival of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Officials are viewing this visit as a critical opportunity to revive diplomatic engagement amid heightened regional tensions. While Pakistan has positioned itself as a potential venue for dialogue, uncertainty over Iran's participation continues to cast doubt over the talks. Security measures have also been heightened across key areas of the capital. Analysts say the success of this visit could significantly influence the trajectory of U.S.-Iran relations in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Sarah, for that update. Amid these developments, Russia has clarified its position regarding the ongoing tensions. Moscow says it is not acting as a direct mediator between the United States and Iran. Russian Ambassador Albert P. Korov stated that Russia's primary focus is on preventing further escalation, describing recent actions against Iran as unprovoked aggression. He stressed the urgent need for a ceasefire and the protection of civilian infrastructure, particularly in Gulf states. Meanwhile, diplomatic engagement continues elsewhere, with the Prime Minister of Qatar and the Foreign Minister of Oman holding a phone call to discuss the crisis, emphasizing the importance of dialogue and sustained mediation efforts. In a related development, Iran's judiciary chief, Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei, has warned that Tehran must maintain what he described as 100% readiness in the face of possible new U.S. attacks. In a video statement, Ejei said there is a strong likelihood of further strikes, arguing that Washington has failed to achieve its objectives despite targeting senior Iranian officials. He also addressed the recent seizure of an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf of Oman, calling it a violation of the ceasefire and warning that any form of naval blockade would be met with a response. Meanwhile, international reactions to the ongoing crisis continue to intensify. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega has sharply criticized U.S. President Donald Trump, accusing him of being mentally unstable over Washington's military actions against Iran. Speaking in Managua, Ortega said the conflict has destabilized the Middle East and negatively impacted the global economy. In Europe, Hungary's newly elected Prime Minister Peter Magyar stated that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could face arrest if he visits Budapest, citing an active warrant issued by the International Criminal Court and Hungary's obligations under international law. Adding to growing global concern, Amnesty International has issued a stark warning about what it describes as a collapse of human rights worldwide. In its annual report, the organization named Israel, Russia, and the United States among key drivers of this decline. Secretary General Agnes Callamard said diplomacy is increasingly being replaced by conflict, with governments choosing silence over accountability. The report also criticized the misuse of veto power at the United Nations Security Council and described several global leaders as pursuing dominance at the cost of human rights protections. In another significant development, Iran has lodged a formal complaint at the United Nations against the United States over the seizure of its commercial vessel and the detention of its crew in the Gulf of Oman. Tehran has called the incident illegal and a violation of international law and the ceasefire agreement. Iran has urged UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the International Maritime Organization to intervene immediately, warning of serious consequences if the situation is not resolved. The country has demanded the immediate release of the ship and its crew, labeling the incident as maritime piracy. Finally, turning to the economy, Saudi Arabia has transferred an additional $1 billion to Pakistan, providing a boost to the country's financial stability. The State Bank of Pakistan confirmed that $2 billion were received earlier this month, with the remaining $1 billion credited on April 20th. This marks the second tranche of a $3 billion deposit pledged by Saudi Arabia. Finance Minister Mohammed Aurangzeb had earlier indicated that the support would be received within the week. Officials have also confirmed that the broader $5 billion deposit will now be extended for 3 years, with its maturity pushed to 2028 instead of being rolled over annually. That's all for now. You're watching Pakistan Today News. I'm Victoria Lane.